Political party Action SA says over 420 businesses have signed up for its class action lawsuit against President Cyril Ramaphosa, the Minister of Police, Bheki Cele, members of the Security Cluster and the African National Congress, amongst others. This is following last month's looting and lawlessness that terrorized communities across the provinces of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. Joining us now to discuss the next milestone in the campaign is Action SA President, Mr. Herman Mashaba. Mr. Mashaba, good to have you on the Daytime Update this afternoon. Talk to us about the origins of this class action lawsuit, why you felt it important to actually be birthed.
Thank you very much, Tam, and good afternoon to the listeners. I think this groundbreaking lawsuit, it's really so important. It's actually quite crucial. And I think what is actually making it even more serious, it's actually two recent developments before I go back to what got us to establish this lawsuit. I think if you look at really what happened 3 weeks ago, very unfortunate, and because this is as a result of ANC internal battles, and that's what we as Action SA discovered from the beginning. But what is actually of concern and making us even much more resolute are two recent events. The first 3 weeks after this event, we don't really see the perpetrators of this violence actually behind bars. The president and the law enforcement agencies, they said they'll be making arrests. 3 weeks later, they are arresting musicians and music DJs, not the actual perpetrators, because they know the people behind this are the RET factions within the ANC. And these are the people who paid communities to really go and destroy our economy so that they can have insurrection. Secondly, and also very importantly, the president's reshuffling or recycling of his cabinet is actually demonstrating to us as South Africans that the president and the ANC and his government are not actually serious about actually addressing this particular matter. Because you can imagine all the ministers are responsible from the president downwards. Not really serious. Actually, some of them, like the Minister of Defense, actually is now receiving promotion, giving a senior position. This actually is saying to us, this is really very serious. And I think we are glad as Action SA that up to this past Monday that we've got already 420 businesses that are joining our lawsuit. And I think without any doubt, more and more businesses will come to the party. We have to really demand compensation for the damages. We lost over 300 of our fellow South Africans who died, obviously not really knowing what the agenda is all about. And we're really pleased as a political party that under the legal leadership of Advocate Gillian Benson, that more and more legal minds in the country are coming, says, please, what can we assist you with? So right now they're going through all the submissions to make sure that obviously they're all genuine, and hopefully one of these days, not hopefully, definitely one of these days, then they can start lodging the papers. And we are and appreciate the fact that this government is going to use our taxes to ensure that we don't go to court, but we are resolute to make sure that ultimately this particular case must be actually appear in a court of law, so that we can prove beyond any reasonable doubt that this destruction of our economy, the loss of over 300 lives, is going to do everything with the ANC and President Cyril Ramaphosa's administration.
What do you hope, Mr. Mashaba, will be the eventual outcome of this class action lawsuit? What do you hope to get out of it?
Well, Tammy, when people have lost over $50 million of worth of businesses, and I can assure you, and I'm sure I don't have to really tell you that some of the businesses would not really be able to reopen. The damage to this is not only to the two provinces of Gauteng and KZN. I think businesses are affected all over the country because big warehouses that are applying retail stores all over. Right now, the retail stores are running out of products, and people are losing jobs. And now we've got over 300 people who have lost their jobs. I mean, it's tragic, and these are things that the president is actually not really taking seriously. So we want to compensation. Those people who've lost their businesses, their properties, people who've lost their loved ones. I think we want to hold this government accountable. In the event that by the time we go to court, they've already out of business, we will hold them personally liable for the action or their inaction.
How are you going to ensure, Mr. Mashaba, that all those who are joining the class action lawsuit are actually legitimate businesses and that their identities are verified?
Well, it's precisely the reason why, as I said, under the leadership of Advocate Gillian Benson, working with other lawyers to ensure that obviously all the submissions are genuine, including obviously getting the evidence, the photographs, and whatever paperwork that was not destroyed. I'm sure you are aware how these people were so destructive that actually destroying files. I mean, in some of surgeries, doctors' surgeries, they'll destroy people's the medical files are destroyed. People HR documentation, it's actually quite destroyed. You can see this was not a project where people were out there to loot. Here, as obviously communities, because of the economic situation, were looting, but there were people behind the scenes who were paid to destroy the infrastructure to make South Africa ungovernable. And that's something that we will prove in a court of law, and that's what our lawyers are busy assembling.
Over 420 businesses so far have signed on. You mentioned their citizens and individuals as well. We did see in the aftermath of the looting, police officers, specifically the army, going door to door and seizing goods from people's houses. And those goods were allegedly goods that were looted. But we also had citizens afterwards coming out saying they took our money, they took food and merchandise that we had legitimately bought, but because they had no receipts to prove it, those goods were then confiscated. Are you also making allowances for those type of individuals? Yes, it does indeed, extend the scope perhaps, and also makes it a little bit more difficult to try and track the legitimacy of those.
In fact, Tammy, this government of President Cyril Ramaphosa, they take us as South Africans as fools, where they must use our army to go and terrorize our poor people, go and take their meal and so forth, when actually diverting attention from actually going after the actual perpetrators of this insurrection. I think this was really one of those ANC government ploy to divert attention from the real issue. One thing for sure, us as Action SA with our legal team, they are not going to divert our attention, because the people who went out to really loot meal and sugar and so forth, that is another matter, and we don't really condone it. But at the end of the day, let South African government to go after the people, the real perpetrators who started this insurrection. Those who paid people to really go out and destroy property, destroy lives, and destroy the future of our country, damage the international reputation of South Africa. Those are the people we need to really go after. But we know it's not the interest of the President Cyril Ramaphosa and his government and the ANC. But we will obviously use the courts to expose the lies and the diversion that they're trying to create.
As far as your call for a judicial inquiry to be set up, who do you expect to, first of all, set that up? And what would be the cost perhaps associated with this, and to what end?
Well, look, the President and Parliament talk about establishing a parliamentary committee. I think let us not really waste our time, because the ANC will use the majority in parliament like they did when they, for years, protected Jacob Zuma. So we are not going to allow them to get us fall into that trap. That is why else, as Action SA, we are saying, President and the ANC and government, if you're serious about getting to the bottom of this, you establish an independent judicial commission of inquiry led by a competent judge. You have the right, take one of the constitutional court judges to head this, like we had with the Zondo Commission. You know, as South Africans, we might obviously have a myopic view that the Zondo Commission was a waste of public monies, over R1 billion over 3 years. I can tell you it assisted us in opening blind people's eyes, because South Africans, as I'm talking to you, are tired. Basically, South Africans are hurtful. They are up to here. They cannot really take it any longer. What they've been exposed to through this commission, if it was not because of this commission, South Africans would not have known about the deep-rooted corruption within the ANC, which was confirmed by the president the last 2 days at the Zondo Commission, and actually laughing about it. I found it actually quite distasteful for the president. We talk about such a serious matter where they've destroyed lives. We sit with over 12 million of our people without jobs. We talk about over almost 18 million people have to really live on grants. A lot of people expected to live on 350 rands and so on. And the president is actually laughing about this. When he was the deputy president of this country, he allowed Jacob Zuma and his criminal syndicates, the Guptas, to destroy our country. And he tells us he was taking another view because his interest was to protect and unify the ANC.
Mr. Mashaba.
There's no way you can ever unify the ANC. ANC is beyond help.
Mr. Mashaba, we thank you very much for your time and your insight this afternoon. Here's the leader of Action SA, Mr. Herman Mashaba, on their call for a judicial inquiry to be set up regarding the riots and also the class action, businesses clamping together, and several respondents there, the president being the first.